Hey, gang, we're back here again. The BAFTA Awards were earlier today, so I thought I'd come back and just talk a little bit about them because I think there's a little bit of discussion to be had here as far as the winners from BAFTA, how they carry over to the Oscars, which ones do, which ones do not, stuff like that. And also we'll talk about a little bit about WGA, which I kind of totally spaced on in my last couple videos here, but as far as predictions and stuff. So it doesn't really matter who I predicted now. I forget. I think I had Little Women ahead, but I had a feeling JoJo would still nab it, which Jojo Rabbit did win for adapted screenplay on Saturday night there. And then original screenplay went to Parasite at WGA, which without Hollywood, I was like, it's either Parasite or Marriage Story. I think I had Marriage Story picked last time I checked, but I knew that was going to be a two-way race there as well. Anyway, so as far as BAFTA goes, though, quick recap here, 7 wins for 1917, which I knew it was going to do well. That's the same number that The Favorite had last year. The Favorite, in the meantime, though, last year grabbed British film, actress, screenplay. 1917 had the trifecta of director, picture, British film. It also won for its cinematography, for sound, for, let's see what else, we'll get into them here, but production design, visual effects, I think those are the other two, yeah, so it did very, very well today. Of course, with the British crowd, you wouldn't expect it to be, I would say, anything less than, I think I had to pick for 5 wins, so anything less than that would have been a little disturbing, but no, 7 wins is a good number for that film, obviously. Then Joker had 3 wins here with casting, which, yeah, that's the first time we've had that category, so we'll see how that one kind of shapes out here, because personally, I did not think that one had too much of a shot there. It also won for score, and of course for lead actor for Joaquin Phoenix, so those other 2 were not a surprise at all. And then after that, Parasite was the only other film to have multiple wins with foreign language film and for its original screenplay. So yeah, we'll talk about a few of the categories here. Now, yeah, 1917 winning for film here was not too big a surprise. I thought Parasite had a chance for a slight offset, kind of upset here, but no, 1917 just is too strong in that category otherwise. So with the trifecta wins here, that's actually better than 3 Billboards did a couple years ago. I've been making that comparison a lot, but it's like 3 Billboards did not win for director that year. They followed suit with Del Toro that year. So it is technically a stronger performance than 3 Billboards, about the same performance as The Favorite last year. So as far as that film category goes, this is the big question. Okay, so 1917 has won the Globe. It has won PGA. It has won DGA. And it's now won Best Film here in Britannia here with and British Film and another number of awards. Do we fall off the cliff with BAFTA like we have the last few years here? Most of us have, at least, because I think I have gone with the BAFTA winner here. I think since 2015, and I've gotten it wrong every time. Once again, to name them, before that you had Boyhood over Birdman, but most of us, I think, were leaning more toward Birdman at the Oscars. If not, the rest of us had Boyhood. For 2015, yeah, The Revenant, was pretty split with Spotlight and stuff. The Big Short had a couple of votes in there, but, that one was also a tight one. 2016, that was a La La Land year, which most of us, flew off the cliff with that as well, but there was so much more evidence that La La Land was going to win, and a lot of, other stuff that happened there with Moonlight coming up strong there in the end. Then 2017 was the 3 Billboards year, which part of my pride stuck with that vote that year, I have to say. Then last year, Roma, just tricked all of us again with, with a DGA win and with a good number of wins, including director and stuff. So, and it also won at Critics' Choice, if I recall. So now it's like Critics' Choice went with Once Upon a Time. The SAG went with BAFTA, or with a Parasite rather. So it's there's a little less division this year than say last year, where it was like Roma won a couple, Green Book won a couple. So it was kind of split there again. Bohemian Rhapsody had a few good wins through the season there and stuff. And I'll do kind of like I'll check across the guilds here for the rest of the wins and stuff. But it's like lately JoJo's been having some good wins at the guilds. 1917 has some good guild wins, of course, with PGA, DGA, the Cinematographers Guild as well. So it's not like that's been a slouch at the guilds at all. No. Parasite with that WGA win, that's big for them. SAG, of course, is huge. Ace Eddie win is big for them. So that's, those are all good. The Production Design Guild for period piece, which is, almost always the case for Oscar nominees. Of course, Parasite's the exception this year. That won for contemporary, but the period production design went to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, that's really outside of that. That's about the only major guild win for Hollywood. That right off the top of my head I can think of. Like, it lost the comedy Ace Eddie Award to JoJo. Didn't win for its costume design. That also went to JoJo. Let's see. Otherwise, obviously, PGA and DGA went otherwise. SAG went otherwise. So, I don't know. Just looking at that scorecard, plus it only had one win today for Brad Pitt. That is kind of significant there. Though, that's another thing, though, to remember from last year. Green Book only had one win. It was in that same category last year. So, obviously, there's a big distinction between, the other wins that Green Book had last year, including PGA and stuff, versus how Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has performed this year. So, I get that, but it's like, well, the superstition to me says, keep it, because you got, the one win for Hollywood there. Otherwise, Parasite, I think some people will be tempted to switch to that now with the WGA win, a win for screenplay here, because we have seen such a correlation in screenplay and picture the last few years. That makes things much more interesting, because it seems like 1917 is not going to win the screenplay prize. So if that's a picture winner, it's going to be the first one in a while for Best Picture to have no acting wins, no editing win, or a screenplay win. For that, you have to go back to, Braveheart, maybe Braveheart. That's one that's sticking to my mind. Maybe it did win editing that year. I don't know. I'll have to double check. Let me just. I don't know, because it's like, Birdman, when that won. That didn't win for acting either, I guess. Yeah, that's true. But that had no acting representation at all. Or 1917 has no acting representation at all. Birdman did win screenplay. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. Let me think. Otherwise here, Shape of Water didn't win for any of those. Won for picture, director, didn't have any acting wins, didn't win screenplay, did not win editing that year. So that's true. And then Green Book did have an acting win and a screenplay win last year on top of Best Picture. So, but I'm trying to think of one that just didn't have an acting nomination at all, like 1917 does. That also lost screenplay and also lost film editing. And it's like, I think the last Best Picture winner without acting nominations at all was Slumdog Millionaire. That had editing and screenplay that year. I'm trying to think what else here. Yeah, that's a tough. Yeah, I'd have to look at the stats on that otherwise. But even that Braveheart, I probably won for editing. Now that I think about it, I don't know. But that's something I'd have to look at. And that's it's a weird year, so a weird stat like that falling, might be in store. That's true. Otherwise, Parasite, of course, the big stat that has to drop to win Best Picture is no foreign language film having won before. Hollywood is also missing that editing award. It probably does have screenplay at the Oscars still. I have it kept there right now. It's tempting to switch over to Parasite, though, because then you can see the angle there. But if that, in a traditional year, you would think Parasite would also pick up directing, too, but no, Sam Mendes is clear ahead now. He really hasn't lost a directing prize this year, technically, other than the tie at Critics' Choice. So, other than maybe critics groups and stuff, but other than that, across the industries and stuff, he has not lost in that directing category. So, it's hard to argue against him at the Oscars. So I have him kept there, of course. So Hollywood, that's a tough call. I'll kind of look over a couple things, but for now, I'm also, with the Guild wins for JoJo and a win here today for screenplay and the WGA last night, JoJo is looking pretty good right now to at least get some attention at the Oscars in either that or the costume category. I think those are the two that it probably has down that it could win. Picture, I think it's in that fourth place, kind of a distant fourth place. I don't know if it has enough steam in it to pull off a Best Picture upset. That would be a major upset. But, again, that would be, like the Spotlight where it wins Screenplay Picture. And then if it picks up a third win, it would be Costumes. But I don't know if we've ever had that happen at the Oscars before. That's a weird three. Yeah, so that one I still keep it as at a distant fourth with a slight possibility. And yeah, Parasite, if it can pull off that original screenplay win at the Oscars, that's a sign that overall its popularity is at the height of what some people peg it to be, and I think it is very popular in the Academy, which would boost its chance to win there. Because if it can win screenplay where Roma did not and stuff like that, then that's a good sign. Obviously, Roma had director last year, which was huge, but it seems like more recently the Academy is fine with splitting director and picture. They've done it, except for Shape of Water and Birdman, pretty much every time since the preferential ballot's been in there, with the up to 9 or up to 10 field there, and the artist would be the other exception, of course. But, man, it's like, so I can see something like 1917 winning for director, winning for its cinematography, winning one of the sound categories. It might pull off that upset for production design, but right now I'm probably favoring Hollywood there because the Guild went with it, and this might be just a thing of, BAFTA loved it, so they kind of checkmarked it in a couple places. Visual effects is still up in the air, though, because effects-heavy film went to Lion King. Supporting effects, if I remember right, was The Irishman, so the Guild is kind of split on that one, too. So I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm not comfortable keeping Avengers there up front, but we'll talk maybe more about that one later. It's like, yeah, otherwise, so 1917, I can see winning a sound category, cinematography, directing, maybe just those three. Unless there's an obvious one I'm forgetting right now. Cinematography. So, yeah, one of the sound categories. Yeah, I don't know. It could win that effects category, though. Even though it didn't win at the Guild there, it could pull it off. I can see that happening, but, yeah, I don't know. So that could be, 3 or 4 wins without picture. With picture would be 5 or 4 or 5, depending on the rest of the field there. Which 4 would be where Shape of Water was a couple years ago. And Birdman had 4 wins. So it's in that neighborhood for sure. But since we've had this kind of preferential ballot and everything, it just seems like we've really struggled to see a Best Picture winner take home more than 5 Oscars. And The Artist is the one that got 5. Before that, King's Speech had 4. Then The Hurt Locker before that was the first time we had the flat 10 year, and that one won 7 or 8, I can't remember, but or maybe 6. Yeah, it was in that neighborhood. But yeah, I don't see 1917, because this is also a kind of trap that we fell into with The Revenant year, where we were like, oh, it's got 12 nominations, and with the Best Picture win, it's like, oh, it'll just tick off the sound categories, and this category, stuff like that. It ended up winning 3, so, I had it pegged for 6 that year. So yeah, but we're not looking at too many, multiple wins for the Best Picture winner this year, if it is that 4, and I think it is one of those 4. Parasite, I can see winning film. I can see it winning screenplay, international film, and editing as well. I think is very close there. It could pull off an editing win. So that's 4. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is looking at film, supporting actor, screenplay, and probably production design. Right now, costume design could be a 5th win, but yeah, we'll have to see. That one will have to have a major rebound here because it's kind of struggled lately. Obviously, no WGA eligibility hurt it. Not winning too much here. Obviously Brad Pitt was the only win here at BAFTA today. That's not great going into the last kind of stretch here. So, and it had a bunch of nominations today too. So at BAFTA. So yeah, that's not a great sign going into it. And then, what's the other one here? Oh, yeah, JoJo, which we talked about there. Probably looking at a max of 3 wins. But so that's tough. I mean, again, I can look over the stats right now, but I'm it's tempting to switch to either a 1917 just to fall in line with everybody else, because it seems like most of the rest of the community is set on liking 1917 enough to give it Best Picture, with the PGA win, especially since that's the same voting process. Director, is along for the ride, obviously, which again has not really happened too often in the past few years, but Shape of Water, Birdman, artist are the exceptions there. We've talked about that. I can see Parasite, if the overall popularity of it does shine through, and the Academy, kind of shakes off that case of fleas of, we're okay with awarding a film that we didn't create for Best Picture. That could be something, too, a little bit of a xenophobic feeling with some Oscar voters, potentially, just in that regard. They're okay voting for it for a nomination, even giving it prizes like we saw last year with Roma, but for a film not specifically created in the industry, which, true, there have been lots of British productions and stuff in the past as well to win, but like this one is like feels like a completely foreign entity, it's like one that we didn't touch at all except for distribution on our side, so it's like there might be a little bit of a feeling in the Academy, too, there, that maybe we could be underestimating. Then again, like I said, this has been one that I underestimated pretty early in the year. I didn't put it in for picture until after I had seen it in late October, or no, that was November, sorry, mid-November. It was released in October, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm just not sure. I'm just still on the, kind of on the bubble here about, okay, if I want to jump off of Hollywood, which one do I jump onto? Which lily pad in front of me is not going to sink me? And again, the superstition to me says 1917 might be a wobbly one because BAFTA has gotten this category wrong so many times recently. And I don't know. And it's like the other thing, if we go to JoJo, it's like that would be the first time in a long time we've had a Best Picture winner not even nominated for the film category at BAFTA. And for that, I mean, man, I'd have to go back you go back quite a ways there. Because, I mean, Green Book was made the film category last year. It got, obviously, Moonlight was there a couple years prior. Shape of Water was here. Birdman was here. Spotlight was nominated, even though it missed director that year. And yeah, obviously, 12 Years a Slave won here, and then Argo won here. Yeah, so there's the artist, I believe, won here. So yeah, they've had the nominee here at least, if not the winner, for a good long time here. So that would be definitely like an off the wall year there. Anyways, so. Okay, I'll get my final predictions out later this week. You'll hear my final thoughts then, and we'll see what I settle on. Okay, for director, we kind of talked about a little bit. Yeah, Sam Mendes, I think he's got the Oscar for sure. Again, maybe a slight possibility if Bong Joon-ho, just the overall popularity of the film, and since it is a kind of popular vote category, that could still come through. But I'm convinced it's Mendes here. The 4 acting categories, all the winners that we expected were here. Renee Zellweger, Joaquin Phoenix, Laura Dern, Brad Pitt. They're set. They should have their speeches ready. The screenplay categories from WGA repeated here today with Parasite and JoJo. And again, it is tempting to switch to both of those at the Oscars with the WGA wins, with the BAFTA wins. That's another. I'll look out for this stat too. The last time that we had, because WGA and BAFTA aren't always the same weekend, but they're usually really close. I'm trying to remember the last time they lined up at both shows and then won the Oscar. I know it wasn't last year because Green Book didn't win either of the original screenplay categories at BAFTA or WGA and won at the Academy. Moonlight did not. Let's see here. Get Out did not win at BAFTA. I'm kind of going through my mind here. Let's see who else. Did Spotlight win here last time at BAFTA? I can't remember if Spotlight did or not. I think it did. Who else was out that year? I don't know. I'd have to look that up. But yeah, I mean, the way they lined up here, it's like JoJo had it tough going into both days, and it pulled off the wins here. Parasite, without Hollywood at the WGAs, I knew that one, was a little easier. But here at BAFTA today, over Marriage Story, over Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I believe both films had more nominations. That's a good win for them for sure. Yeah, now I'm probably ready to switch to JoJo at the Oscars here for adapted screenplay. I'll think about it a little bit more because I do think man, that mess, and that's the other thing that hurts too, that we don't always talk about, and that is, but once we get beyond the acting categories, I think other than maybe director, and I could be wrong about this, other than director, the rest of the categories don't have the names of the person who would win attached to the ballot. The ballot is just the film name. And that could also be for the director category. I could be mistaken there, but I'm not sure. So yeah, that definitely hurts Greta in that case, because if the news around Hollywood is we've got to give Greta this, because she missed out for director, this is like a consolation prize. Without the Academies noting that openly, which most people I think do. I mean, they know she's the director on the film. They know she was not included in the directing category. They have a good inkling. If not, they know that she, wrote the screenplay here. So it's probably a good bet that they know it's her. It's just, do they like that script better than JoJo? Do they go, again, more, for more or less, semantics here, political vote with Little Women? Or do they go with something like JoJo, which I feel personally, I like both these scripts. These are, having not seen Two Popes still, I know I'm slacking. These are my two favorite scripts in the category. So, I mean, either way, I'm happy with the winner here. I like JoJo the movie a little better than Little Women, so I would, probably that would be the one I would vote for. But it's like, I don't know, it's like, overall with the Academy, they both had 6 nominations, if I remember right. So they're on even keel here. They both missed the directing category. JoJo does have some more, nominations, like as far as editing and stuff. Little Women does have a couple of acting nominations, so it's, the biggest branch is the acting branch. So, they, some of them maybe liked it more than, say, some of the tech branches. Like it missed in production design, but it is in for its costume design. So that's a tough call there. But I'm tempted. I'm very tempted, and I might just switch to JoJo here for screenplay. Let's see. Otherwise, some of the or the tech categories here, otherwise, I think are starting to line up a little bit more. Definitely cinematography. We knew was 1917 with Roger Deakins, so I think this is his 4th BAFTA win now. I think. I'm gonna fact check that real quick. 3, 4, 5. His 5th win. Okay, yeah. I forget. This would only be his 2nd Oscar win, but it's his 5th win at BAFTA. The editing category without Parasite here did go to Ford v Ferrari, so that could be a little deceiving. I had Parasite to win here at the Oscars for editing, but man, that is I mean, obviously Ford v Ferrari is a more traditional pick here, but again, you go with the old rules of the Academy of who lines up for for that. And then another thing too is I've been kind of making a little bit of this comparison all year, and that's that Parasite is kind of a little bit of an overperformer of what Whiplash was about 5 years ago, and that one did win editing. That one did win a sound category, did win for its supporting acting performance. So out of, I think it was 5 nominations, it just lost a pair with picture and screenplay. So I can see something like Parasite winning, a few of those categories that it's nominated for, like editing, obviously international film. I can see it winning for its screenplay. Directing, picture, and production design are the other 3 that I'm worried about for Parasite. But yeah, it could get half of its categories there. So that's another one I'll think about a little bit more. But obviously, Ford v Ferrari is a good, well edited film. More traditional pick here. So. That's a close call. So yeah, if you'll notice, so far I've gotten all of these categories right with my predictions. The one place I did slip up, though, one of a few places, was costume design. They did go Little Women there, which I knew that one was close. And that one at the Oscars, it probably is just after this win. I'm more tempted to switch over to back over to Little Women, away from Hollywood and away from JoJo. But yeah. Yeah, so that could be, that could be maybe the only one that Little Women picks up, like it was here today. Production design went to 1917, which again is close in this category. I'm still thinking I'll favor Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with the Guild win, and with its overall popularity in the Academy, plus where it's set, the specific work that's done. So I'll keep Hollywood there, with the little asterisk that 1917 is right on its heels in that category. Makeup and hairstyling, Bombshell, that one's done. Score went to Joker here as well, that one's done. The sound category was 1917, which, yep, I think definitely will win at least one of those sound categories. That'd be a little strange if it did not win at least one of the sound categories. And BAFTA, with this category, has gotten one of the Oscar winners right, really for a long time here. They got Bohemian Rhapsody right last year. They got Dunkirk right a couple years ago. Arrival did win the sound editing category. The Revenant is really the last time they've been wrong. After that, I mean, before that, you go back, it's like Whiplash won one of the prizes, mixing, if I remember correctly. Gravity won both. Les Mis won sound mixing. Hugo won one of the sound categories. Inception won both. Hurt Locker won both. Slumdog, I believe, won for its sound mixing. So yeah, it's like you go back, it's like they really get that category right at BAFTA. Anyways, so that one, yeah, I right now I have it 1917 for sound editing, and then Ford v Ferrari for sound mixing. So that's a close call there. Visual effects went to 1917, like we mentioned there. So it's away from those more popular kind of blockbuster-y films like Star Wars, Lion King, Avengers. Again, it could have been like a sweep factor for 1917 here as well. The Irishman, like we mentioned, has one of the guild wins. The Lion King has the other guild win. So, yeah, but again, I'm worried about that 2015 year we talked about a little bit, where we had The Martian, The Revenant, and Mad Max kind of all cancel each other out, and they went with something a little more off the wall. Which, yeah, there's no really off the wall pick this year, because it's either like, because Ex Machina was very well, the effects were really well done in the movie, and it seemed, it was definitely a smaller budget than the rest of the nominees. Which, yeah, it's like, I think all these films are $100 million plus films. I mean, definitely we know Avengers and Lion King and Star Wars are. 1917, I think, they estimated the budget at between 80 and 100 million, something like that. So that's still a high budget film if it does win. But yeah, so that's a close call there. But 1917, it could, it's, the effects are pretty minimal except for a couple explosions and stuff. Other than obviously some of the trickery of making sure if there's anything in the shot like equipment, stuff like that. Other than eliminating that stuff. Because yeah, they did. Otherwise, of course, they did a beautiful job with the cinematography, hiding all the shots and all the cuts and stuff too. So. That's another one I'll think about a little bit more. Otherwise, foreign language film, we got that one right with Parasite. Documentary was for Sama. I switched at the right time for that one. Animated film, Klaus, which makes that race still more interesting. Toy Story 4, in the meantime, one thing I did not quite mention as well, it's been getting a lot of guild wins as well. Even though the Annie Awards didn't really like it at all, I don't think it won anything at Annie Awards, actually. It still has, I think they'll have all the ones here. It's one for the animated category for production design, one at the Critics' Choice Awards. Yeah, it went 0 for 7, I think, or 0 for 6 at the Annie Awards, which is, yeah, not great. Won one of its Visual Effects Society nominations there. Let's see. Outstanding visual effects in an animated film, which is, yeah, kind of the equivalent there. Did that one go to Klaus? I think it did. No, that went to Missing Link. Okay, so, which is, yeah, stop motion, I think, actually has a little bit of a good track record there. Actually, no, I'm looking at a whole bunch of Pixar films. Kubo. Yeah, Kubo is one they went with. So, yeah, so they have actually a good track record for that, for the visual effects animated kind of thing there. So they went with Missing Link, which won the Globe. So this is a very open race, I feel, for the animated feature category. But, yeah, it's just, Klaus is a Netflix film, so, it might be very widely seen and people just might check mark it off. Then again, Toy Story 4 was $1 billion movie, and it's a pick by the Academy, they'd be like, oh yeah, we like Pixar, yeah, then it might be just checked off there as well, so... That is a close kind of coin flip kind of call there. Let's see. Otherwise, let's see. Oh, I forgot. There is a British short film category which went to Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone, which, yeah, we know is very likely to win the doc short category at the Oscars. Yeah, so it's just really the last two that I missed here are casting and the Rising Star, which the Rising Star, I am terrible at predicting that category. And the winner here was Michael Ward, who I had never heard of before the nomination. So yeah, that one I don't know. I had, my I was off the pulse on that one for some reason. I don't know. I thought that one was like deadlock. Aquafina's got it. Totally. Done there. But nope. No, they went Michael Ward. So I don't know. I don't know what film he was in then. Let me Google searching because he doesn't have a Wikipedia page here. What's he been in? No, not this guy. He wasn't born in 1909. I don't think. Let's see. What's he been in? Top Boy, Blue Story, Dev's Diary, the A-List on IMDb. Yeah, I got nothing. No, sorry, never heard of this guy. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I have no clue about that one. And then yeah, casting award. This is the first time they've had this category, so it's a little. Joker was, it's got a pretty extended cast there when you think about it. It's not just Joaquin, but it's like him and Zazie Beetz and De Niro and Francis Conroy and even Shea Wingham shows up. What's his name? Brian Tyree Henry is the nurse and stuff. So it does have a little more of an extended cast than you would maybe think of on first thought there. You're like, oh, it's Joaquin. He's kind of the one man show of the movie, but it's like no, there's quite a few people in there. Plus, overall, we do kind of forget it's an 11 nominee, led the nominations here at BAFTA, so, and was a very popular film with the British at the box office as well, so, yeah, that one, I guess something like A Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which were the two I had it kind of handicapped to, I guess those two kind of canceled each other out with those big, like, it's an open cast with those two movies, whereas Joker, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit of a, compared to those two, it's a smaller ensemble, but it's one that, you recognize quite a few of the names, and or if you don't recognize the names, you know the faces. Plus, its overall popularity as well. So, yeah. All right. So with BAFTA in the rear view, we've got literally a week away from the show here, which is definitely going to be, it's not that often that British awards hand out like a day, or literally, in this case, 2 days before the ballots are due for the voters. So we'll see how much of a significant crossover we have here. Because last year, three of the four acting categories crossed over. Rachel Weisz did not, because Regina King was not nominated. Film, as we know, did not cross over. Director did. Screenplay for original did not. Cinematography did. Documentary did. Score did not, because it wasn't nominated. Star is Born. Sound did. Production design did not. Visual effects did not, because Black Panther was not nominated. Costume design did not. Makeup and hairstyling did not. Editing did not. So it's like Spider-Man did. Roma for foreign language film did. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. I can't remember the awards last year. February 10th. I think ballots were due, I think it was like a full week later. It was less time last year. So, maybe a few of these wins for 1917, again, we should be a little hesitant on. Because like The Favorite last year, it ended up with only one Oscar win at the end of the show there for Best Actress, even though they really loved it here. And 1917, kind of similar. Obviously, it's not quite that period piece, costume piece as we would normally think. But I would definitely say 1917 is in much better shape to get more than one win. So, yeah, again, I would be a little careful about some of these categories, like production design especially, I'm a little weary on. Editing could come through. Costume design could come through. Those other three tech categories we talked about, cinematography, makeup, and score, are pretty set. One of the sound categories for 1917 is a good bet, but we could potentially see Ford v. Ferrari win both. Visual effects is one, again, I would be a little weary on. It could easily happen, but right now I'm not too shaky on that one. Let's see. Yeah, we know foreign language film is probably going to come through. That would be a massive upset if not. Animated film could come through. There's no casting award, so we don't have to worry about that one. Otherwise, the four acting categories we're pretty sure are going to come through. Directing, we're pretty sure. The two screenplay categories are a little up in the air still, so those they could get both of them wrong, but I'm not willing to bet the farm on that. And then film, yeah, obviously been that one category through the years here that we're, still kind of deciding on here, whether BAFTA is, kind of, deliberately doing this to kind of throw a wrench in the race, or if it's just, they've been trying to predict it, or they just go with what they pick, and obviously Oscars think different. So, yep. So I feel like there's a couple of things that BAFTA kind of definitely secured up, a couple of things that feel more in the air. So, yeah. I've got some thinking to do. I've got some kind of last minute switches I might do heading into the final show. Other than that, BAFTA, like Critics' Choice this year, I did much better at predicting, but that could be deceiving, and we could see that totally go south here on Sunday. So, all right, that's all I got for now. I'll be back here roughly Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in the middle of the week to give final predictions, and we will go from there. So. Otherwise, yeah, BAFTA 17 out of 22 was my final tally there, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, so we'll see what the future holds for some of these films, and definitely as the race continues to heat up here going into the last couple days, we'll see if there's any major significant announcements here and all that. So, yep, that'll do it for now.